Just weeks before his passing, the Prince of Darkness did something no one expected. He stepped back onto the stage. On July 5th, under the dim lights of a packed arena in Birmingham, Ozzy Osbourne sat on a throne, barely able to move, yet commanding every eye in the crowd. It was his first performance with Black Sabbath in 20 years. Fans thought it was a triumphant return, a nostalgic one-night-only miracle. But to those paying closer attention, it felt more like a farewell. The voice that once shook stadiums trembled slightly, but his presence still cast a shadow larger than life. It wasn't just another gig, it was a goodbye in disguise. Behind the scenes, Ozzy had been fighting battles no one could fully understand. Diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2003, he kept the condition hidden for nearly 2 decades. When he finally revealed it in 2020, the world was shocked, but Ozzy wasn't looking for sympathy. He was just tired of pretending. Years earlier, a fall in his Los Angeles home left him with a serious spinal injury, leading to intense surgeries and grueling pain. There were days he couldn't walk, days he couldn't speak, but he never stopped trying to get back on stage. And when he finally did, no one realized it would be the last time. On July 22nd, just a couple of weeks after that emotional concert, Ozzy passed away. He was 76. The official cause was listed as cardiac arrest and acute myocardial infarction. Quietly, without the chaos that had defined much of his life, he slipped away, surrounded by his family. Sharon, Jack, Amy, Kelly, each of them by his side in those final moments. The Osbourne family released a short but heartbreaking statement, asking for privacy and thanking fans for their love. And then, silence. For a man whose life had been anything but quiet, it was a striking way to go. But even in death, Ozzy's story wasn't finished. Because while the world mourned, plans that had been in motion for years were quietly moving forward. A biopic, years in the making, was now back in the spotlight. Polygram Entertainment confirmed that the long-awaited film about Ozzy and Sharon's explosive, passionate, and chaotic relationship was still happening. In fact, they were already in negotiations with a director. The timing couldn't have been more surreal. A story that was supposed to honor a living legend had suddenly become a tribute to a lost icon. 4 years earlier, Sony had teamed up with Osbourne Media and Polygram to start development on the film. Rocketman writer Lee Hall had been brought on board to script the project. And unlike many sanitized rock biopics, this one promised something different. Sharon, Jack, and Amy weren't just contributors, they were producers. That meant the story wouldn't just cover the hits, the tours, or the awards. It would dig into the real story, the highs and the horrifying lows. And with Sharon at the helm, there's a strong chance we'll see sides of Ozzy the public never knew. Their marriage wasn't exactly a fairy tale. At times, it looked more like a battlefield. Sharon once called their love toxic but real. The arguments, the addictions, the scandals, they were all part of the ride. From public cheating allegations to violent outbursts, Ozzy and Sharon's love story was anything but clean. And yet, they stayed together. Through it all. Through rehab, relapses, and even legal drama, they kept coming back to each other. The biopic could pull back the curtain on moments that even their hit reality show avoided. But with the family so closely involved, the question remains, how raw will it really get? Fans are already speculating about what might be included. Will it explore Ozzy's darkest moments, the allegations, the drugs, the near-death experiences? Or will it lean into the redemption arc, the comeback, the longevity, the undying fan love? The producers have said it will feature music from both his solo work and his time with Black Sabbath. That alone is enough to excite die-hard fans. But what they really want is honesty. They want the messy truth. The kind of story that doesn't just praise the legend, but shows the man behind it. And that man, flawed, funny, unpredictable, left behind a legacy few can match. Ozzy didn't just create music. He created a movement. He helped shape heavy metal into what it is today. He redefined what it meant to be a rock star, unapologetic, outrageous, and always one step away from complete disaster. But underneath the eyeliner, the tattoos, and the snarling stage persona, there was someone who just wanted to keep going. Someone who, even when his body gave up, kept pushing for one more show, one more song, one more moment. The Osbourne family laid him to rest on July 30th, back in Birmingham, the city where it all began. The funeral procession was emotional, filled with tears and memories. But for many fans, it wasn't the end. It was a reminder of how much he gave, and how much he left behind. His children, his grandchildren, his music, all of it continues. The biopic might be the final piece, the last great story. But Ozzy's influence? That doesn't fade with time. It echoes, just like the sound of his voice on that stage, not long before the end. People still talk about that last concert, how he looked, how he sounded, whether he knew it would be his final performance. Maybe he did. Maybe that's why he came back. Not for the fans, not for the cameras, but for himself. To end it on his terms. Sitting on a throne, not lying in a hospital bed. Making noise, not slipping quietly away. It was poetic in in a way only Ozzy could pull off. Now, all eyes are on the upcoming film. Will it honor the legend or reinvent him? Will it shock fans or soften the truth? And most importantly, what does Sharon want the world to remember? Because in the end, that's what this is about. Legacy, memory, and the truth that even in death, Ozzy Osbourne refuses to be forgotten. He lived loud. He died